Is going to walk us through our top 4 pods here on day 2 of competition. Of course, these are all the players at the top of the leaderboard, so these pods are not going to be easy.
Yeah, we have 4 featured draft pods that we're following players first through 32nd. And the highlight, of course, is our first pod. These are Shuhei Nakamura leading the pack at 8-0, but I'm also going to highlight Jason Yee. Its performance at 6-1-1 yesterday, pretty great, but also Jason is a draft master, so being here in the first pod, really scary for everyone else. Over onto the second pod, we are going to be looking at our next batch of 8 players, and the highlight for me has to be Pro Tour Modern champion Luis Salvato there at 6-2, and also Team Handshake player Jesse Hampton at 6-1-1. He is not one to be underestimated. Next up for Table 3, we do have another incredible table, but for me, the highlight here has to be teammates Gabriel Nassif and Matt Costa, both on Team TCG player, passing to each other, and this is going to be a really scary pod. Finally, Pod 4 has it the case on day 2 of the Pro Tour. Incredible pod, but none other than John Emmanuel DePraw gets my shout out. He started off 2-1 yesterday, which is great for him considering he usually struggles a bit in Limited and excels in Constructed. If he can 2-1 again out of this draft pod, the rest of the tournament has to be on watch.
Ooh, very, very exciting to see Jean-Emmanuel Deprat doing well after day 1 of competition. Let's take a look at the players for our featured draft pod. Pod number 1 arriving in the feature match area this morning. It's always such an exciting moment on day 2. Nerves running rampant, no doubt, for these players as they sit down and get ready to draft. Now remember, these are our top players in the tournament. Right now, they do not want any missteps as they sit down to draft. Again, there's a look at Jason Yee, the draft master in the pod. And of course, we've also got our tournament leader, Shuhei Nakamura, sitting down to draft. An excellent drafter in his own right, so looking to make another 3-0 today. Take a look at Shuhei's road yesterday through day 1 of competition. Only W's in that results column and only 4 game losses overall yesterday, and only 1 in Constructed. So that's some pretty good results there for Shuhei Nakamura. Let's take a look at our broadcast team who will be joining us today on day 2 of competition. In the booth, there's us, of course. And then a big welcome to Carmen Klumperens, who will be in the booth for Limited this morning. We've also got Marshall Sutcliffe and Paul Chian, as well as Cedric Phillips and Riley Knight, calling the shots in the booth. Well, it is time for draft here this morning. I'm going to pass it on over to Marshall and Paul with the call.
That's right. Thank you, Maria. Welcome to the booth. It is time for draft number 2, and we've got a treat on our hands here. Shuhei Nakamura, one of the best drafters ever, right? This guy is a crusher at draft. Used to travel to all the GPs, regardless of location in the world, particularly if it had Limited in it. And he always did really well at those too.
Yeah, absolutely specializing in Limited, but also completely crushing the field with one of my favorite decks in Modern, or just of all time in Affinity. So just winning on both ends, but really excited to see somebody really known for their Limited prowess here, sitting at 8-0.
Yeah, I was wondering, Paul, you know, if you're in Shuhei's seat, Shuhei being a Limited master of sorts, has the ability to draft whatever he sees fit. Does it change the fact that he's undefeated and maybe would be fine with it too? Like, just wants to avoid a train wreck? Are these things that would come into Shuhei's mind?
You know, I can see that where, let's say you have a close pick between a higher upside card with maybe a more solid card. Maybe you take the more solid card trying to go 2-1. But I think for the most part, Shuhei is just going to draft the way that he usually does, which is usually very, very solid.
He actually drafts that way anyway.
Right. He doesn't go too crazy anyways. He just wants like a rock-solid deck that likely goes 2-1, that has the upside to go 3-0. I think he's going to just try to play his seat and just try to draft the best deck possible.
Yeah, Shuhei's known for drafting very straightforward decks. You know, a little bit more like old school, but it really serves you well in the last few years to draft that way, which are, you know, really on-board, no-nonsense cards rather than, like, Shuhei's unlikely to go for crazy niche archetypes.
Okay,
That's
players,
not usually
welcome
his
to the
style.
day
Yeah,
2.
absolutely.
My
For
name is
example,
Antonio Jose.
comparing Shuhei
With
to
me is
somebody
Brian.
like Jean-Emmanuel
We'll be
Deprat,
here
who's a world-class player in his own
dealing
right.
with the draft.
When I watch
We'll be
JD
here for
draft,
you.
sometimes I don't know
So
what's
the first
happening
thing
because
is
he's
I'm
too
going
many
to
levels
explain
different
how,
from where I am.
well,
When I watch
the
Shuhei
first
draft,
thing,
I'm like, okay,
do you all hear me
this is
well?
how I draft. This is my approach
This
to
is
limited,
your
so I
approach.
totally
So,
get
this is the
what he
procedure.
does.
When I
Not
say,
too greedy,
pick
goes for
up the
power,
cards,
goes for
mean that
consistency,
you pick
and then, of
the
course,
cards that,
his play is on another level.
The person, the other player has passed to you. I'm going to give the
Let's see what Shuhei
warning
opens up
of
here
10 seconds
as
left
we
on the pack.
dial into
And
day
when I
2
say
here at the
draft
Pro Tour. Thank you
means
so much
that
for
you are
joining us. If you're
drafting
just
your
tuning
card,
in,
putting
perfect
it in one
timing.
pile in front of
We're
you.
just about to open pack 1,
And
pick
you will
1
be
here on the
passing the
second
cards
draft. We're going to be playing
shuffled
3
to
rounds of
your
limited
left
after
or
this.
to your right or to your left,
And then we'll
depending on the pack.
transition back
Okay?
over to Modern later today. And by
Very
the end of the day,
important,
we'll have our
draft
top 8
in
all
one
filled
pile
out.
in
That
front of you.
Shuhei Nakamura, our feature drafter here, already
So,
with 8 wins, with a strong performance
please
in
check
limited,
that
he
you
could
have-
find himself
everybody of you
very
have
much
3
in range
packs.
of a top 8, even early in the rounds of Constructed.
We are going to start with pack A. So
He
open the
knows
pack.
he's got a great deck in Modern. This draft is really
Count, face
important
down,
to his
14
top 8
cards.
hopes. He really needs to stick the landing here.
Absolutely. Several high-powered
If you
bombs.
see any
You
problem,
always want to
please
start the
raise your
draft
hand.
with something that you take at the end of the pack, right? You always just want to start things off
Okay.
nice
So
and easy. Give
now
yourself some
pick up the
direction.
cards.
So, you know,
You have 40
cards that we mentioned
seconds.
yesterday, Quantum Riddler, LNG Acolyte, stuff of that
Ooh,
nature.
there's Diadrene right at the front.
Okay. Solid,
Unfortunately, gold.
it is gold. It is an extremely
Ooh,
powerful
Banishing Light.
card. The other best card in the pack here is Banishing Light, and I think that's. I mean, you see him have it here at the top, and those are the two options. Diadrene is extremely powerful, especially if you just end up in green-white. Also, if you're a base green deck, you can even splash it as well. Good at all points in the mana curve as well. Banishing Light, however, also premium removal spell.
10
No matter
seconds.
what you end up drafting, you have a much higher likelihood of being able to play that card as well. So I do think it's a close pick between the two.
Yeah, Diadrene is good enough, though, that Shuhei's going to take a shot
Draft.
here on a pack 1, pick
You're
1
passing
gold
13
card.
cards to
When
your
you
left.
open up a card of that power level, it is worth it to try.
Yeah.
Also,
Pick up the
it's
cards.
worth noting that Diadrene's in green,
have 35
which means
seconds.
that it could be splashed if you were to be, say, green-red or green-blue.
Right.
Let's see what pack 1, pick 2 brings. He's pulled Wormwall Sweeper to the front.
Yeah, I see a Virus
Ugh.
Beetle and a Cut Propulsion as well.
Propulsion. Okay, that's
Okay.
solid.
Yeah, and Cut Propulsion is a very solid removal spell, and you know it's still kind of early enough in the draft where you can just take the best card in each pack and just try
10
to figure out
seconds.
where your lane needs to be, right?
Right, you're just trying to sort out what seat you want, and Cut Propulsion, definitely the best card here.
Yeah, but he's got that Wormhole
Oh.
Sweeper up front. Is he going to take
Draft.
that?
Wow, there was a Virus Beetle in the
Shuffle,
pack too.
you're
Holy
passing
smokes.
12 cards.
Second pick, Wormwall Sweeper.
I mean, that tells you something.
Pick up the cards,
I mean, I feel
30
like
seconds.
Shuhei Nakamura and perhaps his team even values that card higher than most people would.
Wow, this pack's stacked for him too. He's got Banishing Light, Galactic Wayfarer, and is there a Sunstar Lightsmith between?
Yeah,
There is.
there's a Cryogen Relic in that pack too.
Whoa.
This pack has basically 3
10
of the best
seconds.
commons in the entire format. Given that you started off with the Diadrene though, probably looking at a green or white card. Banishing Light, Galactic Wayfarer, both fine options. I totally understand actually not
Draft.
taking Galactic Wayfarer
You're
here.
passing
It's a
11
high-performing
cards
card,
to
but
your
when
left.
you're specifically in white-green, you're not really looking to ramp
up
as
the
much.
cards,
So this
25
card
seconds.
is good, but not quite as good as it could be in, for example, like a blue-green or a red-green deck.
Words you will never hear me say. I can totally understand not taking a Galactic Wayfarer.
Hey, Banishing Light's a sweet card, Marshall.
Auxiliary boosters looks like the only option
10
here. Oh, there's a
seconds.
Plasma Bolt.
Yep.
So there's another reasonable red card.
Yeah, Plasma Bolt's kind of the best card in the pack, but it's
Yeah.
not enough better where you're really, as you can see,
Draft.
Shuhei is really trying to cut
Shuffle.
off white
You're
here.
passing
Took the Banishing
10
Light,
cards
first pick
to
the
your
Diadrene,
left.
would really like to play it if possible.
Pick up
and
the cards.
looking to try to draft a very
25
proactive deck here.
seconds.
We saw with that pick 2 Wormwall Sweeper.
Interesting. So there is a Zookeeper mechan. The red cards do keep flowing.
Yeah, there was a Plasma Bolt in the last pack, which was the best card in the last pack.
10
And now there's
seconds.
a Zookeeper Mechan. So you could potentially speculate here, try to keep yourself open. You could still potentially pivot into a red-white deck, for example.
Draft.
Would you
shuffle,
assume if that's what
you're
happens
passing
here that it
9
would
cards.
just be straight up red-white, or is that Diadrine worth trying to get in there?
Well, if red actually does have a fair number of ways to generate landers
Pick up
on
the
their own.
cards.
So if you do
20
pick up an
seconds.
orbital plunge, maybe a Cavalan Seeker, something along those lines, with a command tower, command bridge rather, then you can possibly splash
10
it. But
seconds.
a lot of the power of Diadrine is also the fact that you can play it early.
Yeah. Well, two mediocre picks to choose from, Exosuit Savior or the Thawbringer in
Draft.
the core colors, presumably, and there
passing
wasn't
8
a
cards.
loud red card in there. There was a couple of playables, but
Yeah. I
you
think
know, but you
pick
wanted
up
to
the
see
cards,
the cards you just
20
mentioned, like a
seconds.
Cavalan Seeker or something like that, to
Right.
go, okay, I'm going to be red now.
And I do think the Thawbringer is a better card than the Exosuit Savior.
Yeah.
The Savior is generally
10
kind of
seconds.
weak. Unless you pick up a Cryogen Relic or something along those lines, it's really not something that I'm too excited playing. But I think maybe that was a hedge where, hey, look, if I go white-red, I'm just going to take the
Draft.
white card that for sure will make
You
my
are
deck.
passing 7 cards.
And like you said, it looks like
From now
Shuhei's
on,
trying to
the
cut
10-second
white,
warning,
send
I
that
will not
signal
tell
to the
you.
left.
Pick up
He
the
took
cards.
Drick's Fate
15
Maker with his
seconds.
next pick, so that goes well
Yep.
with what else he's got going on here.
It's a late Lost in Space, which is okay, but you know,
Yeah.
Ice Cave Crasher, specifically if you're looking to curve out and beat people down, very nice aggressive creature to kind of have at that 4-mana slot in your green-white deck.
Draft.
And by the way, going back to
passing
what we
6
talked about
cards.
at the beginning, take a look at the cards that Shuhei's taken
Pick
so
up the
far. He
cards,
does not mess around.
10
Like, these are
seconds.
all power, toughness,
Right.
you know, get you dead type stuff. Ooh, Seam Rip, what else is in here?
There's a Dual Sun Technique and a
Okay.
Brewguard Elite. So a lot of interesting options here.
Draft.
Could maybe use a trick
You are
here.
passing 5 cards.
So actually going for Dual Sun Technique in a white-green deck, or in specifically
Pick
a
up the
white-green
cards,
deck, you are kind
10
of the green-white
seconds.
counters deck. So if you have 6 or 7
Ooh.
ways to put counters on things, then Dual Sun Technique gets turned on and is a very powerful spell.
Yeah, you see the Drick's Fate Maker #2 here pulled to the front.
Draft.
Yeah,
And
there's
that's
You're
a card that
passing
goes well with a
4
lot of what he's
Yeah,
got.
and that's the thing. You look at that pack, and most
Pick up
people
the
might even
cards,
consider
5
the Tapestry
seconds.
Warden there. But in green-white, the Fate Maker is a much stronger card. There's just a lot of incidental +1/+1
Draft.
counter synergies where
You are
that
passing
card
3
can really
cards.
shine.
He picked up a Seam Rip
Pick up
fairly
the
late
cards.
here too.
5 seconds.
Card could make the cut for him.
Okay.
And now he's just got a little bit of
Draft.
filler, it
You're
looks like, to
passing 2
round out
cards.
pack #1.
Pick up the cards.
Anything
5
good late?
seconds.
Another
Dual
Dual
Sun
Sun
Technique,
Techniques.
Second one starting to fall off a bit.
Unless your deck is
You are passing
all in
1
on
card.
+1/+1 counters.
Right.
Okay. So now
Okay.
you have 60 seconds
So
to
there
review
is
what you
all
have
of
picked.
pack 1 for Shuhei. So let's just take a quick pause here to take a look at what he's actually taken so far, and then maybe what directions he wants to go as he works his way into pack #2, Paul. Because he is at a little bit of an inflection point. We saw him dabble in red.
Yeah. A little bit of red. I think, again, that was a speculative pick where in the previous pack he saw the Plasma Bolt. So you're like, okay, well, I already passed one solid red card, and I now see a Zookeeper Mechan, which is one of the stronger red commons. If in the future picks after that I see more good red cards, then I can pivot into red-white and be pretty happy with that. But given what we've seen in this pack, he didn't see any more red cards after taking the Zookeeper Mechan. So I think given that he saw some of those green creatures late, granted, they're not the strongest cards, he's probably looking to try to settle into a green-white deck.
Yeah, that Diadrine at the bottom of the screen, that was his first pick, and that's the one that he's probably trying to hang on to at this point. Let's take a look at some of the cards that he may want to open or be interested in opening going forward, starting off with some commons. Boy, a Night Luminary would go a long way here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a deck that's for sure he wants to be white, so you want to, and it looks like he wants to be aggressive. So Night Luminary is a good way to flood the board, really good way to station up the Wormwall Sweeper. Focus Fire, arguably better than Banishing Light if you are aggressively slanted. And then, of course, if you want to pair that with green, Gene Pollinator, just one of the best creatures. Actually, in a green-white deck, I think I might even prefer it to potentially Galactic Wayfarer just to be able to curve out nicely.
Yeah, 1-mana spells are so great in those decks. What about uncommons? What are some of the things that Shuhei might be looking for?
Well, All Fate Stalker, one of the best uncommons in the set. This card is just fantastic. Kills tokens, is a removal effect, very, very strong. Then you have Starfield Shepherd, another one of the best uncommons in the format. There's actually a lot of 1-mana creatures that you can get. If you can get a Gene Pollinator, that's really solid. You can get a Starport Security as well. And it's just a pure value card. And then, of course, if you do end up in green-white, you're trying to do the +1/+1 counter things. What better way to top out your mana curve than with Halia?
That's right. Now, if we're going to dream a little here, Paul, if I'm going to let my imagination run wild, how about an Ouroboros? You said you wanted +1/+1 counters, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. This is probably the best card in the format. This thing is ridiculous. Even if you kill it, usually it pumps your whole team, and that's enough damage already. So that card's fantastic. Sunstar Chaplain, also incredible as a way to put +1/+1 counters on things. They have to kill this. If they don't, you basically just lose. And then, of course, if you are a white deck, you're going to probably look to have some Night Luminaries, a bunch of creatures, and Lumen Class Frigate is fantastic in this type of deck.
Yeah, and you can see that these cards lean towards the more assertive end of the scale. These aren't cute cards that are for fixing or build arounds. These are just increase my power and toughness a lot and get you dead. And that looks like exactly what Shuhei is trying to do here. So we can head on back down and pick him up in pack 2, pick 1, and let's see if he maybe gets lucky and opens up a few of those cards that we pointed out there.
Yeah, typically these white-based aggressive decks are very, very heavy white.
So everything is
so
fine.
you don't even need to look for some of the green lander type effects, which usually you're looking for in the other green color combinations.
Pick up your cards, 40 seconds.
Well, there's a Drix Fate Maker, Blooming Stinger. One thing of note here, Paul, is that his mana curve is not great right now.
His only 2-mana card is a Wormwall Sweeper.
Right.
So, yeah, in a green-white deck, you want to curve out. So look at this. I mean, this is really unexciting. This is pack 2, pick 1 here, and I think he's going to take a Dockworker Drone or a Blooming Stinger.
Ugh.
So that is super, super disappointing. But you know what? It looks like it's really the only option there. You see a Meltstrider Eulogist, which has some synergies, but I think it's more important to just pick up a solid 2-drop for your deck.
Do you like the Stinger or the Dockworker drone? I mean, the drone gets the +1/+1 counter, so you get that synergy, but maybe the Stinger's a little better on its own.
Yeah, just by itself, right? Even when the games go a little bit longer, we're talking about a format where there's giant spacecrafts, and in a Blooming Stinger in conjunction with other bite effects allows you to just cleanly kill things, whereas you can't do that with the Dockworker drone.
Speaking of, there's a couple of them in this next pack, Meltstrider's Resolve and Diplomatic Relations. Both combo pretty well with Blooming Stinger. I mean, Relations is basically just a removal spell straight up at that point, but Resolve also usually gets the job done.
Yeah, the +0/+2 that you get from the Meltstrider's Resolve is usually going to be good enough to be able to fight something and still have your creature
10
live.
seconds.
And I think he's going to take the Resolve. It's just so much more efficient. Both are very solid, but the Resolve is very, very strong, especially in this strategy.
Yep, he's going to go for the Meltstrider's Resolve. Again,
Draft.
very much
You're
mining his
passing
mana
12
curve
cards
here
to
as
your
well.
right.
He needs more 2-drops to round out a beatdown curve that he's looking
30
for.
seconds.
Ooh, Focus Fire.
There's a
very
Focus
strong.
Fire. Very nice, very nice.
Oh,
Ooh,
never
All-Fate
mind.
Stalker.
Hey, look.
Oh, and Halia at the
And
back,
Halia.
too.
Well, wow, this, I mean, I feel like Shuhei would just want to take this pack and
then just move on with his life?
Just chill, just relax. But I think the best card in the pack here is still the All-Fate Stalker.
Yeah.
It's, you see shiny Signpost uncommon, and you think that's what you should take. But I do think the All-Fate Stalker is just a better card. And honestly, there's a chance the Halia could table.
Totally.
Because somebody else
You're
just could not be in
passing
green
11
white. It's just
cards to
hard
your
to be able to splash something like a Halia.
Yeah, people don't splash Halia. So, like, if there's not another green-white
Pick up
player
the
at
cards,
the table,
25 seconds.
we will see that come back, I bet. I mean, somebody could cut it.
Right,
too, but-
of course. Ooh, this pack is a bit of a miss here. That we're looking at possibly a second copy of auxiliary boosters. I like the first one. The second one I like a lot less.
10
You also just
seconds.
want to keep your curve kind of low. So there's really nothing here for Shuhei outside of the boosters, I think. Maybe Shattered Wings.
Wow, what a weird pack so far. 2 nice cards and
Draft.
2 just,
Right.
wow,
Shuffle. You're
sideboard
passing
cards.
10 cards.
That's tough. Shattered Wings, pack 2, pick 4.
And not really where you want to be.
Pick up the cards,
Mostly a card that you
25
play on the
seconds.
sideboard.
There's another Wormwall Sweeper. He loves that, apparently. What else is here, though?
There is
Another
an Intrepid
duels?
Tenderfoot, which would be his second 2-mana creature. But given that we saw Shuhei took a second pick Wormwall Sweeper, my suspicion is
seconds.
he's going to take this one as well.
Yeah, you're right. He does take it. How do you count those? Because we were saying that he needs 2-mana creatures.
Draft.
Well, you're going to
Shuffle,
need some
you're passing
Thawbringers. That's a
9
really
cards to
nice
your right.
follow-up to being able to play something like a turn 2 Wormwall Sweeper.
Pick up the
But
cards,
it's nice,
20
right? It's still
seconds.
going to. It's not hard to turn it on, and it does smooth out your draws.
These packs have been weird.
Yeah. Now
there
they're-
is a Gene Pollinator now.
seconds.
6th pick.
Yeah, and he's absolutely going to take it here. There's
Somehow better than all of his other picks except for the stalker.
Right.
Maybe. I mean, it's just wild.
Better than his first and
Draft.
fourth pick. His
Yeah,
fifth pick,
Shuffle.
yes.
Definitely.
You're passing 8 cards.
Gene
Pick up the
Pollinator
cards,
does
20
serious
seconds.
work in this format. It doesn't look like much, but
I wonder,
it is amazing.
I wonder if we draw the line, though, at the third Wormwall Sweeper. At this point, we're going to probably be looking to actually
10
fill out
seconds.
our deck with actual creatures that we can play to station up the Sweepers. So, yeah, it looks like he's going for the Weft Blade Enhancer here. Not a big fan of
Draft,
the Wedge Light
shuffle.
Rammer there.
Yeah, you can kind of
You're
get the
passing
sense
7
that
cards.
Shuhei
From now on,
doesn't
I will skip the 10 seconds
want to lean
warning,
into
okay?
battle or
Pick up the cards,
spacecrafts,
15
particularly
seconds.
unless they cost 2 mana.
Yep.
What does he find here?
Yeah, Dawn Strike Vanguard,
Sure.
it's okay. It's just really expensive.
Kind of bad.
Yeah, it looks much stronger than it actually plays out. But you could also have matchups where you board it in, right? Where, you know,
Draft.
just having a large lifelink
You're
body
passing
could be
6
relevant
cards.
in certain matchups.
Pick up the cards, 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's one of those cards that I read and I'm still like, that seems pretty good. But when
Right.
you play it, it doesn't feel that way. Oh, look at that!
Weapons manufacturing.
Weapons manufacturing,
Draft.
which is a card. Look at that
You're
little
passing
smile
5
from
cards
Shuhei.
to
He
the
says,
right.
we'll be playing with that one a little later. today."
Right. We saw it do some
Pick up the
work
cards,
against Johnny Gutman
10
the other day.
seconds.
Now is not the time. That's really funny.
Yeah. It's a really late Mechan Navigator, but obviously you can't
Yeah.
go blue here. Probably just going to take a Lux Knight Breacher.
Draft.
If you end up short on
You're
playables
passing
here,
4 cards.
you can still put that as a 4-mana creature.
Just a
play.
4-ball.
Pick up the cards, 5 seconds.
Man, Shuhei just needs more cheap creatures. He really wants cards like Night Luminary. Haven't seen one yet, though.
Draft. You are passing 3 cards. Pick up the cards, 5 seconds.
Well, he's sticking to the game plan here, Paul. You can see his picks from this pack have all been
Draft. You're
green or
passing
white.
2 cards. Pick up the cards, 5 seconds.
Here's the thing, and one of the important
Draft. You're
parts
passing
part
1
of
card.
pack number 2 was the pack that had the All Fate Stalker,
Okay.
Focus
So
Fire, and
now
Holia. He
pick
didn't
up
table
90
either of
seconds
those.
Yeah,
to
that's
review all
right.
your
Which
picks.
means there are 2 other white drafters most likely at the table, and I think white is powerful, but only when it's open. And you know, it's not white is not as deep as, for example, green as a color. So if you're fighting 2, possibly 3 other drafters at a table, you're just not going to end up with a strong enough deck.
And look at that pack on the left. You can see the picks in order. Any of the decent green cards that he got came early in the pack. The one Gene Pollinator snuck through,
Right.
but pack 1 picked one Blooming Stinger. Like,
Yeah.
the green is not flowing.
And it's not like he was tabling the dockworker drones either,
No.
right? So somebody was, and somebody else is in green-white. So, you know, this is what
Yeah.
happens when somebody else is in the archetype that you're in. And Shuhei, I mean, he's got playable cards, but it's far from exciting right now.
Yeah, you know, it really does have the feeling that there's somebody else in white and then there's somebody other else in green-white.
Yep.
And then who knows who else is drafting
Right.
green, you know, green X.
Yeah, you know, over the last few weeks of this format, when I've been drafting, I have been having a lot more success drafting the kind of proactive white decks, but only because they've been very open, right? You just get random 6th or 7th pick focus fires when they just shouldn't be in the pack anymore. And then when it's open, then your deck ends up being quite strong. But here, where you're fighting over these cards, it gets a lot more difficult.
Where are
10
all the night
seconds.
luminaries?
Yeah,
Somebody's taking them.
yeah, definitely.
They're not here.
I mean, we don't even have. Yeah,
The review
if you
time
look at the combat
is
tricks too,
over.
Shuhei doesn't have a
Please
ton of
let
great tricks
all your
either.
cards in
We're
front of
looking
you
at
in a single
Biosynthetic
pile.
Burst and Focus
continue
Fire as some of
drafting
the
in a
great
single pile, okay?
common combat tricks that you
Now
could
we
play.
go to the pack
And I don't even think
C.
I've seen a Biosynthetic.
Open
No,
it.
I don't think he's had an option for one.
Count 14 cards.
And
face
he
down.
would play it. That is a very Shuhei Nakamura card.
Yeah. So hopefully pack 3 can go better here for Shuhei. White did feel somewhat open, so I think
have any
if
problem?
anything, maybe he can
Raise
hope
your
to try to
hand.
pick up lots of premium white commons this direction in pack
No
3.
problem.
See Johnny
So,
Gutman there. He looks like
let's
he's
start.
feeling it.
Pick up your
He's
cards.
Locked in.
hoping that
40
the pack
seconds.
3 will save him. We've all been there before. All right, let's see what he gets. Pack
try.
3,
Okay.
pick 1.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
there anything good here?
so there's a Hemosymbic Might, which generally is a
Oh,
card I don't love unless I'm drafting a very aggressive green deck, which the only really aggressive green deck is the green-white deck. So if there's a deck where the Hemosymbic Might is good, it's in a deck with double Wormwall Sweeper and a Gene Pollinator. Perhaps you can put some counters on it and pump your stuff.
10
Secluded
seconds.
Starforge is an extremely powerful land, but it is colorless. That's not free. And when you're trying to curve out and you can't cast a spell because you drew the Secluded Starforge, that could be a big cost.
Draft. You are passing 13
Oh, he's going to go
cards
for the
to your left.
Hemosymbic Might.
All right.
Interesting. Yeah, it's probably those two Wormwall Sweepers.
Right.
Pick
yeah,
up your cards,
along with the Gene
35
Pollinator. So
seconds.
yeah, Shuhei really looking to just, he's like, hey, look, I don't have that much power in my deck. I'm going to have a nice streamlined deck where I can just curve out and beat people down before they get to cast their top end stuff.
Hopefully they're playing a little bit too many Dirtle cards.
Yeah, another Hemosymbic Might, right?
Yeah,
Looks like,
that is.
okay. There's a Pinnacle Kill Ship, but this
10
deck is not
seconds.
really set up for Pinnacle Kill Ship. No landers, no real way to ramp. You need to have some ways to ramp. Oh, wow. Exosuit Savior. So perhaps Shuhei also really
Draft.
liking
Shuffle.
the
Passing 12
combination of
cards to
Exosuit
your
Savior
left.
and perhaps Wormwall Sweeper. Maybe just find ways to continue surveilling and
Pick up your
perhaps
cards, 30
finding the
seconds.
win condition of just flying over for the win. Okay, well this,
There's a Rayblade Trooper, so
that is a premium card.
that's a sigh of relief pickup when you just took Hemosymbic Might and Exosuit Savior with your first two picks out of the third pack.
Right.
10 seconds.
Seeing a bunch of red cards, not a whole lot of green in that pack either. So Shuhei is gonna just keep picking up white cards here.
Draft,
It does feel
shuffle,
like green
you're
is
passing
perhaps
11
getting cut
cards.
off here.
Pick up your cards. 25 seconds.
Okay, emergency eject, invasive maneuvers, and a Sammy. So yeah. So
Wow.
Now, I mean, it's obviously too late now, but now you're looking at this pack and you're going, man, if only I was red-white, that could have been better.
10
But
seconds.
right now, if you're looking to be a little more aggressive, emergency eject is a fine removal effect. It's not absurd because if the games go long, your opponent does get the
Draft.
lander, can use that
Shuffle.
to
You're
ramp
passing
into their
10
big
cards.
things. But hey, if you need to clear the way, it still gets the job done.
Yeah, it's
Pick up your
this
cards.
is actually well
25
suited to
seconds.
aggressive decks. It gets a blocker out of the way, and then if they do want to utilize it, they have to spend the mana.
And best card in this pack is Orbital Plunge. But Germinating Worm, I suppose, is fine. It is a way to, even on turn 3, you could perhaps warp it in and turn on your Wormwall Sweeper.
seconds.
But
Wow.
there's just no great cards here.
I mean, I
He's-
appreciate you seeing that line, Paul, but boy, if that's your life,
It's
not going very
it's
well.
not the best place to
Draft,
be. I mean, you
shuffle.
even just want Thawbringers
You're
or
passing
something
9
Definitely.
that you'd be happier just playing on curve here.
Pick up your cards. 20
yeah,
seconds.
Shuhei is climbing a steep mountain. Wow, there's a Zookeeper Mechan in there.
Wow, yeah, red.
Oh,
is
there's another Might.
so open. All right, well, he first
10
picked the Might,
seconds.
so I imagine he's going to take another Hemosymbic Might here.
Yeah.
Really push the aggression with all the +1/+1 counter synergies.
Whoa, he's going to take Command Bridge. He's
Draft,
not splashing or
shuffle.
Does
anything.
he have anything to
You're
splash?
passing
No.
8 cards.
Wow, that's really interesting because generally speaking,
Pick up
when
your
I play a
cards,
card like
20
Command Bridge,
seconds.
I usually play it when I'm splashing. And if I'm looking to be aggressive, I try to avoid it just because it's a tap land. But Shuhei may be really looking to focus
10
on having good
seconds.
mana. And maybe one other thing he could be trying to do is, hey, look, if I get to play Command Bridge, maybe I can play a 16-land deck, keep a low curve, and play one more spell. in my
Okay,
deck.
that makes sense.
Shuffle.
Yeah, I mean, because Command
You're
Bridge
passing
isn't just a
7
tap
cards.
land. Like, it's worse than that.
It's worse than a tap.
Pick up
you know,
your
it makes
cards.
it hard to curve
Yeah.
out if you
Seconds.
have that in your opener.
Wow, that's a late Plasma Bolt too,
Jeez.
man. And 0 green cards in sight.
There's another dual sun technique.
Yeah, none of these are.
No,
Draft.
He's just hate drafting here at this point.
Shuffle.
that is good
You're
against him.
passing
Yeah,
6 cards.
absolutely.
Snipes one of his 1 or 2 drops quite easily.
Pick up your cards. 10 seconds.
Remember, we are at the Pro Tour, so we're playing in pod play here.
I think that's a second Tanuk that we've seen kind of late, along with a Melded
Melded
Moxite.
Moxite's
Oh.
playable
Shuffle.
too. And yeah, once again,
You're
we just see
passing 5
Shuhei
cards.
taking cards that he would be annoyed to see
Right.
in his opponent's
Pick up your
hand.
cards. 10 seconds.
Look at that. There's just 2 more playable red creatures here.
Or played Pangolin
There's
down there. Yeah.
one red drafter at this table at the most, it feels.
Draft. Shuffle. You're passing 4 cards. pick up your cards, 5 seconds.
And what happens in situations like this is everybody's deck ends up getting worse, right? Because
Yes.
they're all just
Draft.
fighting over 4 colors.
Yeah, this is
passing
not
3 cards.
atypical for
Pick up your
Pro
cards,
Tour
5
booster draft.
seconds.
You know, if you were to compare it to the average deck that you draft on Arena,
Draft.
for example, you
You're
would be
passing 2
mistaken.
cards.
Like these decks,
Pick up the
you
cards,
have
5
to
seconds.
scrap it out.
Right.
This deck's actually fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be hard to give it like a
Draft,
super
you're
high
passing the last
grade,
card.
but it's fine. Like he has playables, he has a curve, he has at least one very powerful card with some decent commons in there. And this is the type of deck that Shuhei Nakamura has been using to win tournaments for years. He is really good with these scrappy, low to the ground. He knows what counts and what matters in these archetypes, and it's just affecting the board, right? I mean, he just wants power and toughness, turn things sideways.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's one thing that you can say good things about in terms of the actual deck, because it does look like he was cut off and perhaps he wasn't in the proper colors for his seat, is just he's got a good mana curve, he's got some interaction, there's some play to it with if he goes with the Exosuit Saviors and the Wormwall Sweepers, he can just get every last bit of mileage out of every single one of his cards. We've seen him do it time and time again. Now, I wouldn't be shocked if he does it here, but this is not just, you don't look at this deck and you go, oh man, I did it.
You did it.
This is I really hope to scrap a 2-1.
That's right. And this is the type of deck that can do that.
Yeah.
Meaning, even if the cards aren't flowing or you don't get exactly what you wanted, some decks require certain things to be there. If I'm playing a multicolor deck, I need to find playable cards that make landers so that I can ramp, get my mana fixing going. And if I don't, my deck is non-functional.
Yeah.
In this case, it's like, well, it's a downgrade if you have to play a slightly worse 2-drop than the one that you really wanted, but you're still putting power on the battlefield and you're still able to put forth that game plan.
Yeah, he's just going to really hope to play against extremely slow, clunky, powerful decks that just don't get their game plan online. Maybe right before they stabilize, he gets a couple of well-timed spells and goes for the win. I think that's going to be his main path to victory in a lot of these matchups.
Yeah, what is your prediction victories-wise for a deck like this?
Well, let's take a look here and see just
the worm
exactly
made it.
what the curve
And
looks
he didn't
like
actually
here.
play the bridge, but he did play 16 lands, it looks
Yeah,
like.
and I would have played the Might in this deck probably.
The Might's in there.
But what I mean is the second Might when he took the
I'm sorry.
Right, he had
I
the
gotcha.
option for the second one. Yeah, and the thing is, he only actually has 3 2-mana creatures here. Diadrin, sometimes you want to play a little bit later here. A couple of Exosuit Saviors, which I'm not super fond
Yeah, what
of.
is he?
You can pick up some Fate Makers for a little bit of
Yes.
value. Yeah, I mean, this is just a very average deck. I think this is, if I were to guess how many wins, 1.5, 2.
Right in
something.
the middle.
Right. If things go well, I think Shuhei could maybe pull off a 2-1, but a 1-2 would not shock me with this deck.
Yeah, this is a little low on power overall. As you see, that Diadrin was really the first big one. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, though, we'll be setting you up for the first round of draft here on day 2. We'll be back with more right after this.